Well, a very good morning to you watching. Today is the 1st of March 2024. I guess most of you are still, you're not yet, you've not yet take anything that we are just beginning the month of March. Well, we set back our eyes to February and focus on this new month. And of course, my name is Marcia Ketsime and I'm with Andrew Barujeng. We're here every day from Monday to Friday from 7 a.m. till 9:55 a.m. And today we're going to be looking at something concerning the budget on the different priorities that the government is planning to focus on this year. And of course, one of them is making sure that there is full monetization of Uganda's economy through commercial agriculture, which is very key. If at all we want to make sure that we export more and add value, in our products. Then we have industrialization. A couple of industries, a couple of industrial hubs are coming into shape, and of course we expect jobs to be created one way or the other. Then of course expanding and broadening services and digitization formation, and of course market access. So those are the priorities that we are looking out for, and of course all those are the means to eradicate poverty and to push the economy to further prosperity. Well, good morning, Andrew.
Good morning. Now, just in light of what you've just spoken, it also puts us to get to understand we are discussing the budget, the proposed budget vis-a-vis the debt burden that we are holding as a country, and the fact that we saw last year the government borrowed about 3 trillion Ugandan shillings. That is from within the commercial banks in here. And vis-a-vis, as we are trying to budget, how isn't that crowding out the private sector, most especially when it comes to access to capital, and most especially the fact that we are into a time where we're having loans as high as 25%. So that really creates a lot of that. And the proposed 52.6, there is a proposal that we can save about 1.5 trillion. That is if we cut on the expenditure, which has actually caused unnecessary expenditure, actually. Let's say that. So 1.5 trillion can stay into the coffers of the country, but still, that may not be a reality if we still have unnecessary expenses, most especially talking about travels abroad, which are costing us
vehicles,
purchasing of the vehicles, having workshops all the time. We can understand that certain events are very wonderful, but we need to mind and prioritize when it comes to that. For example, when you take a look at the travels of the diplomats, about 108 billion spent on travel abroad. So why don't we prioritize that? The COVID-19 taught us something when it comes to meetings, most especially workshops, whereby we can hold them online, Zoom. And these have proved out to be one of the most effective. The Ministry of Finance holds that. And since COVID-19, it's been holding that till today. And never has it really had most of the physical meetings. So as we are looking into this, we need to also consider this. And the fact that this financial 2024-2025 government plans to borrow at least 13 trillion Ugandan shillings to cover the trade deficit gap as part of to make the 52.1 trillion budget quite effective. So debt management, I believe, is one of the key issues that we need to take a look into, despite the fact that recently when we had Professor Sachs into the country, one of the most renowned economists came up clearly, and he had a view that for Uganda's case, for example, where we stand currently, borrowing is quite inevitable. But the best that we can do is to ensure that when we borrow, it's about the negotiation abilities and also taking on long-term loans, which can be cleared over some time. So that is some sort of a dilemma which the country is in, and it's a critical time and a critical moment that we need to make a decision that is quite wise. Otherwise, the nation might slide into turmoil. Recently, we've been experiencing the aspect of the depreciating shilling against the dollar. It's been sliding to about 4% in the past 2 weeks. This is quite very dangerous, because now that means our imports are becoming much more expensive, which means that we might be forced to take other loans. That is to get the resources that we need to operate within the country.
Well, of course, domestic revenue is projected to increase to 29.6%, which some people, mostly for those in the civil society, have deemed too ambiguous to achieve. But anyway, one way or the other, they'll find ways to listing taxes within people.
Actually, we already had a shortfall of revenue collection to about 2.2 trillion. There was a shortfall, which was against the expected target. That is for the month of January. So, I mean, that all starting, they are in deficits already.
Yeah, but of course, they talked about the fact that we have to reduce the physical spaces that we have, with slowing down the different dead ineffective projects that we've been having that have cost us lots of billions. Yesterday, we're seeing the one for Lubowa. What happened to the money? I mean, it's stagnant. Nowhere.
Supervision halted.
Yeah. So there has to be, if at all, the project has been stagnant for years, because this started way back in 2015. Yeah. How many years down the road? 9 years. How is that even possible? That there is nothing that has been effective since then. So how about if at all we see something is going to be stagnant, how about we divert those resources to make something more productive?
Absolutely. Absolutely. And if effective monitoring and evaluation should also be inclusive when it comes to understanding some of these perspectives that way. Well, I guess the budget, most of the experts believe quite a few areas need to be looked into. And I'm glad that according to the framework of 2024-2025, infrastructure has almost taken about 10% of that, because this is part of the key when it comes to discussing sound economic policies to drive economic growth and development. So from about 4 trillion to now about 5 trillion Ghana shillings infrastructure. But also we've been having an issue for the village access roads, most especially roads those roads that connect deep in the villages where most of the farmers actually have their produce. And the main roads, the highways are actually established in some places, not all places, but those roads, what we call the feeder roads, there is quite a huge challenge in there. And if the very source of which the farmers are supposed to take their goods to be the raw materials to be brought into town for further economic activity or value addition, because some need to be transported to factories to be value added, that would be something quite very key and important. And you mentioned something about markets. Accessing markets, that is something also quite very key. And also, yesterday when we had the senior communications officer of the Ghana Development Corporation, he mentioned something about how they're encouraging, they love investing, working with people that are actually using local raw materials in that way. And like I've been mentioning, still in relation to the establishment of that infrastructure, that is only going to be possible to exploit those raw materials effectively if the access to those areas is intact, in terms of connectivity. And also we need to see investing into value addition, because our economy we still actually depend on importation of raw materials, and explains why we don't command a high market when it comes to the global prices. So always to be looked into effectively as we proceed with the framework. This is according to the experts, the budget experts, what they believe should be undertaken.
Well, of course, the 2024-2025 budget is going to be heavily investing into people, as a means to reduce poverty among people.
The price development model is already there.
Development model.
It's stabilizing.
It's stabilizing. Though there's a little bit of loopholes there that have to be rectified. Yeah, with the new system that has been put in place of disbursement of the money, at least that would be able. But then we have to know who are the right beneficiaries for these monies, who are the rightful people that are supposed to access this money. So I believe there has to be measures. You have to write and something like that. Then, of course, roads, we're looking at security, we're looking at electricity, we're looking at effective management of natural disasters, talking about climate change. Yeah.
Climate change initiative. Actually, climate change, we've been talking about that. Globally, they estimate that we need about $2 trillion to be able to excavate the aspects of climate change.
In Uganda or in Africa?
No, this is a global perspective. But the global governments can't raise that. Of course, Uganda still has that. For Uganda, it's I've forgotten the figure a little bit, but we don't really know. But it brings me back to the aspect of they proposed about PPPs, that is public-private partnerships, as part of the way where government should participate with the private sector to combat the climate change. But you know, the private sector is always driven by profit.
Yeah.
So and
that's more
so
clarity.
And more of it looks at the side of the losses that it's okay, whereby if the project probably in terms of expenditure, it much more looks at government to take on that, you know, the government to swallow the losses.
Because they have much to lose as the private sector.
Yeah, but of course, governments have, it's hard for the private sector to really sustain this because government has access to much more money than the private sector players, you know, because any person would find it easy to work with government than the private entity. Though I'm not saying the private entities are irrelevant, but if the global governments also can't raise 2.2 trillion, well, just the PPP is just more of to give a hand to the private sector to come and just give a little hand to the government when it comes to combating climate change and all that, inclusive of the budget. Well, that brings us to the end of this discussion at this point in time. It's exactly 14 minutes past 7. Smart means business. And now, this particular time, let's take a look at what's making headlines into the press. Well, as we get into the press, taking a look at the new vision, here it's matters to do with the cost of public administration, which is soaring, and that is from 465 billion Ugandan shillings to 7.4 trillion Ugandan shillings. Now, of course, Ramadan Gobi says, let us trim this fat government, says Ramadan Gobi, in terms of that. And President Tom Museveni says that we should use politics to fight poverty, says President Yoweri Museveni. And now, of course, taking a look into the green gold of Uganda. What is that green gold? Of course, so as you grab yourself a copy on pages 32 to 33, you will be getting much more details of what really this entails. And now taking a look at 60 veterinary officers that have been probed over cattle theft. Yeah, find out that. And the Korean startup businesses to enhance Uganda's exports. And the First Lady here welcoming Professor Sachs' advice on long-term loans. We can't avoid the borrowing.
Yeah.
Professor Sachs is one of the most renowned economists from when it comes to dealing with matters of international relations. In other words, you know, climate change issues, loans, countries battling with loans, global conflicts. And now he's coming out to give us this advice. But hope this advice is applicable to our country, Uganda, or else, well, we might find ourselves in a state of, where the debt slides out of our hands and it's beyond our control.
Yeah, well, it's one thing to borrow, but borrow for what reason?
What reason are you borrowing?
Yes. For instance, now I'll give a live example for our day-to-day, life. You cannot borrow for food.
You can't borrow for food.
Yeah, you can't borrow for food because at the end of the day, you won't be able to pay out. Yeah, you have to be able to borrow for a certain cause.
A certain cause. Absolutely.
Where it is necessary. When you know you have an investment, you invest, then you get and pay up the debt that you owe. Well, happening in the Daily Monitor as Museveni turns guns on corrupt military officers. Did you know that we have corrupt military officers? Yeah, yeah. And of course, we see yesterday actually there was a protest. Yeah, as KCCA workers protested over delayed salary payment. Well, the month of February, the month of January has been so hard for most people, and of course, most of them are women. Yeah, most of them are women, so really they needed this cash to pay up because most of them be in different circles, be different bibina, and they have to pay up. It's a lot for women at some point, so I would really understand. But anyway, we shall see, get into the matter. I believe yesterday we were able to have a report on that. Yeah, and of course, NUP asks Mpuga to resign from House Commission job.
Yeah.
That is what is happening.
To take a $500 million, something related to corruption. Well, let us see here. See, farmers, bar owners want alcohol bill to be reviewed. Yeah, I'm seeing here the Secretary General of the Uganda Alcohol Industry Association, that is the Jackie Takanizwa, as of course addressing the Trade Health Committee. That was yesterday.
Well, of course, when it comes to alcohol, Batavuka, actually Ghana is one of the 10 leading consumers of alcohol. So I am not surprised at 6%. Great rating. Yeah, so, when Kulimuchi, I don't know, Zawi sang something like that, but it's something to alcohol that Ugandans really would fight. Yeah.
But I think all world over, it's not just in Uganda, just like maybe the discipline bit of it, just having that self-control.
It's just that that is where people get the money. That's where people get the money. So I believe for them, they feel like this is going to be a hindrance.
Yeah, because we understand that if alcohol has a role it plays in ensuring that certain industries are stabilized. Second, if we talk about the night economy, it thrives a lot on if there is an availability of that. And if that is on it, let us see how that really comes about in that. Now, seeing here in the new vision, Uganda to host the Mantle of Deborah Women's Conference. Yeah, so you'll get to find out that was once you grab this with a copy of the new vision.
Okay.
Yes.
And of course, more evidence coming in as France tells Rwanda to stop supporting M23. And of course, remember what we had between Rwanda and Burundi. Yes, the accusations.
So rebel Rwanda sponsoring rebels that were torturing Burundi. The Burundi citizens in all those perspectives. But anyway, those issues that need to be, disputes that we need to sit on a round table as leaders. This is quite a very critical moment. And when you take a look at countries like Tanzania, they are all just making headlines to ensure that they develop their economies internally. And it wouldn't be good news if still part of the East African nations countries are grappling with conflict. They still need to be told to, get rid of certain conflicts. It really hinders the efforts for economic growth and development if you're to take a look at all that. Now, 60 veterinary officers are under probe. That is going to come to effect. And of course, Lango RDC is tasked on a service delivery, as you can see. And the report here shows that 900 schools closed due to the COVID-19 pandemic, and over 4,000 Kampala City Council authority cultural workers to get contracts. Wow. I know yesterday they had an issue with Parliament when, which brought out the Speaker of them not being paid. And the Speaker talked about penalizing their bosses, you know,
Having not paid them.
having not paid them. And he promised them that next week on Tuesday, they'll be getting some money.
Yeah.
I think their shout was hard. Their cry was hard. Their cry was hard.
Yeah, they were. And here in the comment section, someone asks, why must we all pay our fair share of taxes? Well, challenges like taxes, tax evasion and avoidance still persist. We cannot abandon our obligations to pay taxes. As has been said, tax is the glue in the social contract and the price we pay for civilization.
Tax is the glue.
Is the glue in the social contract and the price we pay for civilization.
The price we pay for civilization.
Yeah, sure.
Okay.
I agree with it. That's the price we pay for civilization. How else do you think the buildings come up and we are cruising, we are, walking around these luxurious roads that cost us billions and trillions of money? Yeah.
All right, now we get through here as we take a look at the traffic updates. Now that is in Tindabukoto Road. Actually, when I was coming, I passed by the Barclay Road and it wasn't really congested. I was so shocked. I thought it would be the same case across the city, but I'm seeing the surprise here. This is in Tindabukoto Road. Yes, it must be in Tindabukoto Road. Of course, looking at the Kira Road side. Yeah, so for the people that are coming in from those areas, well, you will have to be a little bit more patient because this looks like a 5 to 12 minutes delay, before you head to other different destinations. And of course, alongside that, adjacent opposite, we have the Lugogo bypass, which still links up through straight. Yeah, so that I feel the Lugogo bypass and you link up to Lugogo, where former Shoprite would be an ideal movement for you, other than passing through Kamocha via Kira Road and you head to Mulago roundabout. Then Wandagare, I feel that might be a little bit much more of a congested part as compared to when you just come straight. I'm talking about the residents of Ntinda right now. If you just proceed through the Lugogo bypass and link up to, that is quite a little bit friendly. Maybe the only challenge might be between where the old Port Bell Road joins up with Kampala Road at a roundabout. But that's not quite a huge deal. I feel like the distance is cut short. And somebody continuing to Lagos side to one again. As a proceed. We are seeing quite a number of border borders here and being part of the traffic. And the traffic officers are definitely always in full control. Rarely do we have these traffic lights in their own when in full control. Most especially maybe in the rainy days when it's free, but it's not really. It's a bit effective. Now, seeing this, people that are coming in from probably from Kira Road and heading to Tindabukoto, that is quite free for you and friendly. Unlike those living in Bukoto and they're coming towards Ntinda. Living in Bukoto and you're heading towards Kampala. Most especially if you're planning to use the Kira Road route and you link up to Kamosha, that's going to be a little bit harder for you. Yes, and for those still, by the way, like I normally say, the Ntinda side has two aspects to it. It has the commercial side and the residential side. And it seems to be having quite a huge balance because there are people that leave their homes from different parts of the city to go to Ntinda to open up their offices, and same applies to people that are residents of Ntinda and they have to still get to work. That's why you see vehicles coming in adjacent to the Lugogo bypass, heading straight to Ntinda. I perceive some of these are business people, some of them are employees that are heading to work, but there seem to be more residents still in these areas because we see quite a huge fleet of vehicles now. Like some of these taxis probably pick people around the Ntinda Stretcher side and they proceed towards the city collecting people. So all those are residents in those areas, and it explains the congestion. It's quite congested, by the way. If you're coming in from Tinder Road, you're going to be really delayed. They could be the Nakawa and Tinder Road could be an option, and you branch out at the Spear Motors side. Well, yeah, it might be fine, but in most cases, still close to the traffic lights as you're joining Ginger Road from Tinder Nakawa Road. There is always a huge stopover. A delay in terms of that. Well, that is it for our traffic update. And this morning, let's take a short break. Smart Beans Business returns shortly.